Hi, everyone. Hi, Angel Eyes. Hi, Photon. It's been 6 months. Can you believe it since we started this journey? Hey, Melly. And I wanted to do a little bit of a tribute. I know the last few days we've been talking about the ransom notes coming back out and all these discussions about that. But today I wanted to celebrate Nancy's life, at least for the first 10 minutes of the show. I got a new mic. Can you guys hear me okay? Show me some thumbs up. I'll just keep talking. So, of course, as always, I did a PowerPoint presentation because I don't know what it is with me and PowerPoints. I love them. And then I found 3 really cute videos of Nancy, the one where she was making her bed, and then another one where she shows up out of the blue at the Today Show with cookies. And then the third one is a real small clip of when she was at the Mexican restaurant with Savannah and Annie. So I'll show those to you in just a little bit. So there's my little disclaimer. We're just talking about statements and speculations, and nobody's being accused, blah, 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 blah. And I encourage viewers to research the information and make up their own conclusions. Hi, Carolina. Thanks for joining us. So Nancy was born in 1942 in Fort Wright, Kentucky. Can you believe the population of that town was only 1,280 people? I think about some of the high schools in this area, especially in the bigger towns, and I think they've got more kids in the school than Nancy had in her own little town. And that must have been a wonderful upbringing for her in a small, rural, kind of a suburban city, I guess. And back then, the population of the entire state of Kentucky was less than 3 million people. We've got cities bigger than that in the United States now. So when she was young, she attended an all-girls elementary and high school, and then she went to the University of Kentucky. And when I did the research, I did not know that Savannah must have got her journalism from her mama, because she worked at the student-run newspaper called the Kentucky Colonel. How sweet is that? As the society editor and staff member. And she covered Greek life for the publication. Now, she met her husband, Charles, on a blind date at a basketball game. And then in December of 1963, they got married. And then in 65, they had Cameron. And then, I forgot the other kids. Oh, well. That's a different slide. I think it was 2 years later they had Annie, and then 2 years after that they had Savannah, because I know Savannah was born in 72. And then they lived in Melbourne, Australia, because, as we all know, her husband Charles was a mining engineer. I don't know what he was doing in Australia. There must have been a bunch of stuff to mine. And then they moved to Tucson in 1974. And then, unfortunately, in Mexico, her husband, Charles, had a heart attack in 1988. So after that, Nancy went to work. I said in another video, I felt like she was a boots on the ground kind of gal. So for 17 years, from 1990 to 2007, she worked at the University of Arizona. She did public relations. She was a spokesperson for the university's medical center. Then she was associate to the vice president of university advancement. She organized the Center Stage program, which brought musicians to perform monthly for hospital staff, patients, and visitors, enriching the cultural environment of the medical center. So I wonder if her love of music and people being entertained was where her youngest became a journalist, and her middle child became eclectic, I guess, a jewelry maker, a poet. This next thing is so dear to my heart because, as most of you know, I'm a nurse. So she ran the Med Camp, a program designed to introduce Arizona high school students to careers in the medical field, demonstrating her commitment to education and community involvement. I love educating the young. I taught nursing clinicals for 5 years at a community college, well, and 1 year for a bachelor's degree program. But I got a little burnt out with the grading of the papers and students complaining about getting a 98 on a paper and wanted to go over it. So my fall to always was, sure, we can go over your paper and I'll show you the 10 points I didn't take off. And then I'd get a text back saying, have a nice summer. Okay, I will. So just in that small glimpse of information that I gleaned from the internet about Nancy, I'm having a picture of her being a go-getter, a type of person who really loved being around people and really loved her community and advancing her community. And getting a job at the university, she got discounted tuition for all of her children. Now, that's a woman who got dealt horrible cards, especially in the 80s, and especially a woman who was born in the 40s, to have to pick up and go to work and raise, kids on her own. I really admire her a lot. Then I talk a little bit about what her kids did. So, not only did she work full time and she raised these kids were pretty accomplished. Cameron, whose, real name was Charles Cameron Guthrie, he was a colonel nicknamed Arlo. He entered the military in 1992. He served for 26 years as an F-16 pilot for the Vermont National Guard. And then Annie also got a bachelor's degree in poetry in 1992 at the University of Arizona. Again, Mom, thank you, Mom, for getting me a good tuition rate. And then she did all this other stuff that you can read. I thought the interesting thing about Annie's background that I could find is that she went to Italy to learn metalworks, to make jewelry. And she did that in the mid to late 90s in Florence. Now, I don't know if you guys have researched any of this, but is that where she met Tommaso, or did she meet him in the States? I was always very fascinated on where those two met and hooked up. Hi over the hill, Will. And then, she's a published author and poet, blah, blah, blah. Not to diminish anything that she's done, but she hasn't shown herself to us. I mean, neither one of these kids have. So all we have is, the tiny little bit of information that we can research on the internet to say, this is what these two people have done with their lives in a PowerPoint presentation. And then Savannah, my whole list of stuff. The golden child here. She graduated in 93, cum laude at the University of Arizona. Again, thank you, Mama, for the tuition. And then she graduated magna cum laude, which is even higher, with her Juris Doctorate from Georgetown University Law Center. And then she was awarded an honorary doctorate of law by Georgetown University Law Center. And that's a list of everything that she'd done. She worked at the KTVM in Montana before spending 2 years as a local reporter at an ABC affiliate. She did the anchoring at NBC. She moved to DC. She did crime stuff, blah, 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 blah. And then she ended up at the Today Show in 2012 to the current day. So I'm going to show you the little video of Nancy making the army bed. I just think that this is so adorable. Oh, gotta remove from stage and then add to stage. And here's our girl, Nancy.
Long forgotten footage that's just resurfacing.
Nancy Guthrie joins us now. Hi, Mom. Good morning.
It shows Today Show co-host Savannah Guthrie's mom in the bedroom of her home in Tucson. That's the same bedroom from which she was kidnapped 6 weeks ago. The live shot from Nancy's Tucson bedroom took place in 2013, just one of many charming appearances over the years from the 84-year-old mom and her famous daughter. The subject matter, how to make a bed with sharp hospital corners.
Well, I think everybody needs to know how to make a bed. And so when the time came to teach you guys how to make a bed, this is what I tried to teach you.
Savannah's colleagues put their bed-making skills to the test.
Check it out, Mom. Look at Natalie's. It's quite excellent.
Natalie Morales was then with the Today Show. She's now a 48 Hours correspondent with CBS News. I spoke with her today.
So she really put her mom out there. This was years ago. And I just thought it was sweet that she volunteered to go on the Today Show to help her daughter out. I mean, I can't even stress what a wonderful person I personally thought Nancy Guthrie was. Let's see what else they got to say on this. This is courtesy of Inside Edition from the Fair Use Act.
Seeing that today, it just, I got emotional.
Natalie got to know Nancy during her many appearances.
Everybody's family becomes a part of the Today Show family. Viewers get to know our families. My mom has been on a couple times, along with Savannah's mom and Hoda's mom.
It's so poignant to see you guys interacting with her, kind of haunting now after the fact, is it not?
Haunting, especially because you're seeing inside what is, I believe, her bedroom and her bed. And, just imagining the horror that happened.
As for speculation that Nancy Guthrie was targeted because of her many appearances on the Today Show,
you don't want to think that way, but yeah, you can't help but wonder if perhaps it allowed her or allowed any of our family to be targets.
Does the bittersweet footage tell us anything?
To think about her, an 84-year-old woman, laying in bed trapped because of the proximity of the bed right tight up against that nightstand, and then tight up against the wall, and then the window right there where somebody could be peering in at her.
As the 2013 segment came to an end, Savannah said goodbye to her beloved mother, who got up at 3 a.m. to participate on her daughter's show.
I'll teach you a skill. It's called napping when you get up at these hours. It's a good one to have. Love you, Mom.
I thought that was moment, bringing her mom on the show and making the bed and showing everybody how to do it. I mean, whose mom does stuff like that? Well, maybe my mom would, because she was a stickler about a clean house. We used to call her Mrs. Clean instead of Mr. Clean. And when my mom was 84, she's 92 now and has advanced Alzheimer's, but when she was Nancy's age, before the dementia Alzheimer's was apparent, she cooked, she cleaned, she shopped, she did her own gardening. I mean, she was pretty active. I mean, she had arthritis and she also had AFib, but she had an active life. She had friends over all the time. She went to church minimum of once a week. You know, those old Italian Catholic ladies, they got to go to church every day if they can. But I thought that was a very sweet interview with her. And then I'll share another one. And this is the one where she shows up at the Today Show with the cookies.
And let's have the pie.
It's brought by Savannah's mom.
Savannah, I'm going to try. Are you kidding me?
It wasn't long after Savannah joined the Today Show family that we all fell in love with the matriarch of our own family, Nancy Guthrie.
So this won't be one of those easy at-home recipes.
No.
Okay, tell me about what we have.
Not very healthy either.
Okay, that's fine. Not healthy and not easy.
A mother who loves her family fiercely, a woman with deep conviction who always tells the truth.
I wanted to be God.
You want it to be, but Annie was.
Even worse, you were like a poser.
I was a poser.
She was a preppy poser.
I was. Mom, you're like killing my rep around here.
She's raised 3 kids with grace, grit, and resilience, always encouraging them to pursue their dreams.
It was really hard for me to leave her. And that's when she said, if you can't leave me, then I didn't do my job right, Savannah.
A champion for her family, but for us here at Today, too.
There's a #1 member of your book club who loves you more than anyone.
You would think it'd be my mother.
Nope, it is my mother. Her name is Nancy Guthrie.
Not only is Nancy an avid reader, she treasures her time with her friends over mahjong, a game she's played since the 70s.
Savannah, this is my original mahjong set that Dad brought me back from Singapore.
Nancy has shown us she's always curious and always up for an adventure, traveling back to Savannah's birthplace, Melbourne, Australia, on Today.
Seeing the very place you were born is not something most people get to do or
That's
see.
true.
To get to go back with my mom, it's just really special.
Special time. Amazingly awesome.
But Nancy's heart is in Tucson.
Well, Mom, you guys came here in the 70s and you had been moving all around. What made you want to stay in Tucson and plant roots?
And it's so wonderful. Just the air, the quality of life is laid back and gentle.
Perhaps her most precious offering, Nancy's family has always been guided by her deep, unwavering faith.
The greatest gift my mother gave me was faith and belief in God. It changed my whole life.
And her love.
My kids are absolutely amazing. So
They sure are
We want you to-
absolutely amazing.
Love you, Mama.
You know, I think for all of us who just have gotten to know her and love her, it is personal, you know, and I love when she said Tucson was right for her because of how gentle it is. Nancy was tough as the desert, but she was so gentle too. And so we're just thinking of her and her family today.
You have to say, when I woke up this morning, like a lot of us, hoping for new information. And I, went to my phone and I saw Savannah's post. And Savannah's strength gave me strength.
Yes.
Her resolve, her faith. I mean, hello, she literally wrote the book on it.
And that came from Nancy.
Yes, and if you saw that clip where Savannah was talking with me on the 10, where she said she didn't want to leave her. That was after Savannah's dad passed, and Savannah wanted to go to college, but was worried about leaving her mom, and so she said, "Well, Mom, I can't leave you." And Nancy said, "You have to go," and I think that says everything. Where Savannah has come.
I saw that post of Savannah last night. I hit my knees and prayed, and I don't think I've ever prayed for anything harder in my life.
That's all we can do right now.
Yeah, and believe that if
think it's
everybody does that,
collective.
the power of the prayer can still turn this around.
Yeah.
It can.
Yeah.
Again, we know someone out there knows something. Call.
So that had part of the Mexican restaurant scene in it. So I'm not going to play the other video because it was so small. But I have to tell you guys, besides the fact that I adore Nancy and I didn't even know her, just from the research that I've done, I also feel like when I see the videos, I just can't imagine a family member harming that woman. I mean, I know money can do crazy things to people, but with as close as they all look, do you really think that someone in the family could have hurt that sweet lady? Especially after all the sacrifices she made for them all those years, working full time at a university so that they could get discounted tuition. I want to tell myself, no way. There's no way a family member did this. And until we get evidence to the contrary, I'm going to try and keep that belief. So what do you guys think? Do you feel the same way I do? Nancy was an awesome person. And you know what? Oh, hey, V, how are you? And you know what? I wish the conspiracy theories were true, that she was put in protective custody and she's in Italy or she's in the Bahamas sipping Mai Tais with a boyfriend nobody knew about. Boy, I wish that was true. But the sad reality is I don't think so. I think that night, 6 months ago, something bad happened at 2 something in the morning. Now, I was going to go through the timeline and all that other stuff, but I'm going to put the link down if anyone wants to come up and chat. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep yammering on and on about how wonderful I think Nancy was. And let's see. Carolina says, all I always say is taking on a caregiver role for someone whose health is declining is a tough role when you want to have a life of your own. Yeah, Carolina, 100%. So I moved to Florida for 2 years when my mom's dementia was getting to the point where my brothers recognized it was happening, but she was oriented enough to say, I'm not leaving my house. So I packed up from Washington State. We were going to move as a family, but my husband wasn't ready to retire. So he just came and visited every 2 months. And we talked on the phone every day. But my son came with me to finish college because tuition in Florida is way better than tuition in Washington State. But even as a nurse, and even though that's what I do for a living, it was becoming grueling for me every night. I lost my wallet. We'd have to search the entire house. Here's your wallet, Mom. And I mean, she found 100 different places every day to hide that wallet. You know, she swore somebody stole it. Somebody came in and stole it. And then we'd have to search. And it's fatiguing. You do get caregiver fatigue. And then we hired caregivers to come help during the day. And, you know, eventually when I moved back, we had 24-hour caregivers. And then one of my nieces moved in, you know, to be there overnight and to monitor the caregivers. And then my mom started not knowing that that was her home. So then it's time to find a safe facility. We had to get a locked facility. They call those Alzheimer's units, but we were lucky to find an entire facility that's locked. So she could wander around everywhere. They have a beauty parlor. She's right across from the dining hall. You know, and there's people there who she can have conversations with. There's a couple of Italian people that she can speak her language with. But the point that Carolina made was, yeah, if you've got to do that, and with Nancy, I don't think that it would have been a 24/7 situation, but even the doing the grocery shoppings and hiring people to do the yard work and managing that and managing housekeepers and maybe doing meals, it can become a lot, especially if you have a full-time job and you have a child that you're raising. So I would hope that they would have reached out to Savannah and say, we're getting burnt out. You need to hire Mom some caregivers. But then again, with as independent as Nancy was, do you think she would have even accepted caregivers? Wasn't there the rumor that she had somebody in the casita and she fired her and kicked her out? I mean, I remember hearing that on JLR, but I don't know if that was ever proven. So unless I can find, actual proof on it, I'm just not going to say it. Allison earlier said, it's interesting to watch footage of Nancy. We've spoke about her for 6 months. It reminds us of there was/is person behind the headlines and the name. Exactly. That's why I wanted to start out this live as a tribute to her, to say, this was her life. If she has passed, people need to know that she grew up in a small town, that she got married, fell in love, and then she had 3 kids. And then she had the unfortunate, untimely death of her husband. And then she raised her 3 kids and went to work and put them through college. And then was a grandma and had friends and was an avid mahjong player. That's what frustrates me about the friends and the neighbors. I've talked about this before on other channels, but just from what we've gleaned, from what the internet tells us, that we believe that Nancy was a wonderful person, Where are the people that loved her? Where are these so-called friends? They don't have to give us details on when was the last time they saw her, what was her mood, was she having problems in the family? I know they're afraid that people are going to ask those questions. But can't someone just tell us that they had fun with Nancy, that she was, very involved in the church, and she started this program and that program, and she volunteered for this and she volunteered for that, and she kicked our asses in mahjong every time we played, and she was a shark. I don't know about you, but I would just love to hear that. I would find that comforting. Just those small words. And this is why we have conspiracy theories. And this is why we have speculation. Because not a word, not a peep, not an article, not a flyer, not a billboard. What the heck is going on in this town?